I want to talk a little bit more today about the Genius Way life skill system and the philosophy behind it, and specifically one principle of that philosophy, which is each person has a mandate from the universe, from Creator, from whatever is, a mandate to be themselves. And when you say that, it sounds really simplistic. Oh, just be yourself. Well, there's a lot more to it, because as I work with my clients in my psychotherapy practice day in and day out, I find that people have a difficult time actually knowing what that actually means. What is it? What does it mean to be myself? So to go back to the Genius Way philosophy of seeing this, everyone is born with a seed of identity. No matter what circumstance we're born into, we are predisposed to be, express, and live as a certain expression. This expression is more than just the individual, it's what creation wanted to express through us. And so the responsibility to be yourself means, what is that thread? What is that seed? And how do I take that seed identity forward? How do I be responsible to be myself in that way, in the way that creation intended me to express and live and inhabit this life? Now, one of my favorite stories to illustrate this mandate to express and be ourselves in the universal way is about a rabbi named Zusia who lived in the Ukraine around in the 1700s, the late 1700s. And so one thing that is historically known and told about Zusia is that his way of expressing himself was very emotional. So it so happened that he was getting ready to die. He was very old, and his students came upon him in his room one day, and he was emotionally just weeping and crying, and his students were trying to console him, and they were saying, "Look, we know your life. You've done good work here. You've done amazing work. You're as wise as Moses. You're as wise as Abraham." And he kept crying and crying, and they say, "Why are you crying so much? You know, when you go to heaven, you're going to be seen as being, you know, as beautiful as these other two characters." And he said, "I'm not worried about that. When I go to heaven or wherever I'm going, they're not going to ask me, why weren't you more like Abraham? Why weren't you more like Moses? They're going to say, why weren't you more like Zusia? Why didn't you fulfill your potential?" And so this story always hit me so hard, because each one of us is born with a certain amount of potential to be whatever it is that we were originally expressed as. And so the responsibility to be this thing is felt on a visceral level. If you can hone in on how that feels, you can learn to understand that visceral feeling as, oh, this is something that I need to do to express myself. This is what it feels like to, first of all, need to express myself as I am, and number two, to step into my expression as I'm meant to be by the original expression that the universe expressed me as. So if we make the great assumption, the great leap, that this, me, you, this individual is not a mistake, we're not here by accident, we have to actually make that leap, we have to make that assumption. If this is not a mistake, then there is a reason for you, me, for us to be here specifically, individually, and we need to find out what that reason is. The reason's not going to come down like a voice from the heavens, most likely. Maybe it will for you, but for me it's not. It's not going to come down like a voice from the heavens, "You're supposed to be a surfer." It's not that. It's more of how it feels and getting to know what it feels like to be on the thread of your own existential mandate, on the path, on the genius way, on your path of expression. And so this is never about adopting someone else's model for you. This is about finding out through lots of self-inquiry, what is my expression? What is right for me to inhabit, to express with my life? And this is something that plagues everyone at some level, at some point in their lives, and some more than others. But when you feel a sense of disturbance in that way, and what I mean by that, the sense of disturbance that comes from not being on your path feels it's a very specific feeling. It feels like lots of things, you might be doing a lot of things, you might be getting recognition, you might be getting some success, but something is not feeling right. Something is not feeling fulfilling. And that's the key word. Living with a sense of fulfillment with what you're doing can only come by you expressing what you are here and meant to express from the universal expression that expressed you in the first place. So it's important to understand, when I'm saying that you're born as something, I don't mean I'm born as an American kid and I'm born as a Catholic kid or a Jewish kid or a Muslim kid. That's not what I'm saying. Way before anything happened to have us identify with our country or our religion or our group or family, before that, there's an imprint that has nothing to do with any culture. It's a universal imprint. And that's where all the things that people call genius come from. And everyone has this. Everyone has something specifically encoded in their genius DNA, if you want to call it that. Their genius DNA has something specific to express. And finding that is the reason that we keep moving, that we keep searching, and that we keep trying to fulfill that feeling of being dissatisfied with whatever it is that's not hitting that mark. And so the responsibility to be yourself means, I was born as something, let me continue with that. Regardless of my culture, religion, family, let me continue with the imprint from whatever universal creator there is. Let me continue with that and take that as a template. In order to do that, again, you have to do a lot of self-inquiry. You have to throw out a lot of things that don't work. You have to do a lot of experimenting, and you have to do a lot of searching. Taking the responsibility to be yourself, to continue with the expression that you were expressed as by creation, is a life task. And unfortunately, no one teaches us how to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm learning it myself, and I've spent a lot of time developing this system, and I would like to share it with you. If you want to hear more about life meaning and life purpose, and more about how to find your genius identity, subscribe to this channel and check out thegeniusway.com for more tips, tools, and encouragement.